Good morning, Regina. I'm Sean Drager with Royal LePage Regina Realty. Well, welcome to my very first issue of Awesome People of Regina. When I decided to do this project, I knew exactly who I wanted for the very first awesome person of Regina. Her name is Lori Daelik, and she's the principal of Connaught School. What she's doing at this school is nothing short of phenomenal. They have a new leadership program called the SWORD Leadership Program, and the results have been awesome. So come on, let's go interview Lori and find out what's going on at Connaught School. Okay, well, thank you so much for being my first person on Awesome People of Regina.
Yeah.
You are the principal of Connaught School.
I am.
Now, for the people that aren't from Regina, can you describe Cathedral where the school is?
All right, we're on the corner of 13th Avenue and Elphinstone, right in the midst of the Cathedral area.
Okay, and what kind of area is Cathedral?
It's a very artistic area, so we have people from politicians to artists to a very, very eclectic, diverse background of students and community members here.
Cool. Now, last year there was quite a few schools in Regina that were built, but yours was a little bit different.
It was, yeah. I feel so blessed. Our school was really unique in that we were tearing down old Connaught and rebuilding, and so we were looking at how we could incorporate the history of old Connaught, our 100-year-old heritage building, within new Connaught. And so we got to reclaim a lot of artifacts from the old school and have them fit within our new building and our new structure.
Now, you were, right from the get-go, you were involved, correct?
Well, Chris Keys was the principal before me, so he had a lot to do with the closing of the last school, and I came in when our students were already transitioned over to Wascana School, and I got to come in when we were starting to look at the rebuild and the new building.
So you had some hand in the design work?
I did, yeah. I was very lucky to have to be able to sit on the design team alongside staff and school community and division office folks, people from the ministry, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the school. There's a lot of cool little areas. What will you see in your school that you won't see in other schools?
Well, our school, first of all, the heritage pieces from our school, the reclaimed artifacts, the old brick, the wood from the gym, old Connaught gym is in our media center. We've got lots of neat, unique learning areas, book nooks and cubbies for kids to curl up and do work or read. We also have a very prominent display of light throughout our building. So we've got light tubes upstairs. The power's gone out and you don't even notice that it's out because the building is so filled with sunshine. Some of the other key pieces to the building are the theme, Community of Excellence, which is our motto, is carried right throughout the building. You'll see a cathedral community motif that runs through all of the glass. You'll see in the windows of each of the classrooms that community theme or the words Community of Excellence on every signage piece that's in the school. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, I walked around a little bit before the interview, and there's a lot of unique things. Now, I have been to school for a few years here. What's up with all the garage doors in the rooms?
Right, so the idea is transparent learning, so being able to open up the garage doors and have kids spread out into the commons. So we still have eyes on them, but it becomes a community of learners where kids are working together in the commons areas, achieving their school work together.
Now, when I was walking around the school, there was probably a handful of kids up in the learning lounge coming up with a Billy Joel song. I think they were changing the words. How does that work? Like, do they just come out whenever they want to, or does the teacher say, okay, go into the learning lounge and come up with this?
Well, I mean, again, it's usually driven by the teacher, where the teachers are opening their garage doors and allowing kids to stretch out into the commons and to do their work out there. Developing hands-on, engaged learners is really important to us. So we're no longer looking at pencil to paper for every assignment, but really looking at how can we have kids using their hands, creative thinking, collaborative problem solving to really tackle learning together.
Cool. Now, we were here for your open house last fall, and I don't know if you remember or not, but you were getting compliments left, right, and center.
Yeah.
But there was one compliment that you were blown away by, and you said, that was the absolute best compliment I could receive.
For sure.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
And what was the compliment?
Yeah, actually it took place just right over here. So one of the ladies that was hesitant or resistant to have old Connaught torn down came up to me and said, I was so worried about this building not fitting into our community and of losing that feel of Connaught that made it such a special place. And I've toured this building and I'm absolutely blown away at how well Old Connaught has been incorporated and how already within it just opening it feels like Connaught. It was really special for us to hear, and I really felt at that moment that the system, the division, the ministry, they just got it right. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
My wife does your nails, so we get to chat every now and again. Yeah. And you came up, I believe, in this school with a leadership program, and it wasn't brought in from somewhere else, it was developed here. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I have such a dynamic team. One of the challenges of moving into a new school we felt might be having kids enter this space, and it's a brand new space, and we wanted to make sure that we did things right and that all of our kids could settle within this new space with all of these open buildings. And so what we did is we developed a program called the SOAR Leadership Program. SOAR stands for Striving for a Growth Mindset, Offering Kindness, Accepting Responsibility, and Respecting Self, Others, and Our Property. And so we created a leadership program where all staff are using the same vocabulary and teaching the same curriculum to students, so that we're building leadership skills right within the structure of the day, and that we have all of the key pieces to becoming successful individuals and outside of curriculum, ready to take on the challenges of the world.
So what are some of the things that you do that's different? You talked about vocabulary. Explain that.
For sure. So what we do is we essentially teach kids the curriculum to each of those, striving for growth mindset, teach them what that means, and then we catch them in the act, celebrate it, and build them up. And so every classroom has a SOAR board on their door, and they are working on developing those leadership skills to earn badges. And at the end of the first set of badges, my vice principal and I had to dress up as SpongeBob and Patrick as their big reward. And then when we achieve level 2 SOAR badges, which is that kind of deeper level of excellence in leadership, we would be having our first school dance. And we're still hoping before the end of the year that we have that school dance.
Well, how do you know if it's working?
Well, proof is walking through the halls. I mean, ultimately it's seeing a building that's very busy but very focused. Kids greeting adults when they enter the school, not giving up, showing grit, showing determination. Parents commenting, saying, oh my goodness, my child's telling me we can't make excuses at home, that we have to get this done on time. It's all in action through both staff and students in the building.
Now, you had said one time, because even though you were open, there were still a lot of tradespeople coming into school doing those last minute changes. What were some of their comments? Did they notice anything different?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the building, is so striking that often they comment on that. But what the comment that meant the most was just how the leaders used the building and how quiet the building was, but yet there was lots of action, lots of learning going on, but it's focused and on task learning, as opposed to kids running wild around this big, beautiful building. Yeah.
Now, I think a lot of them, you probably even forget this, but I remember you made the comment once that the tradespeople come in and they've never been thanked so much, because the kids are actually thanking them.
Yeah, thanking them, welcoming them, taking that time to make a connection, and so that when people are in our school that they feel like they belong and they are part of our school community.
You also work with the parents.
Yeah, so we have a really vibrant school community council. We also have parents and community members that aren't parents that are in our school volunteering on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. The idea that it takes a village to raise a child, and I think it's just so fitting right here in the Cathedral Village. I think Cathedral's really special in that it's like a small town right within our big city, and having so many parents with expertise in our school community that are willing to come in and share, whether it be through acting classes or painting murals with kids or doing writing sessions, working in the library, working in the kitchen. Our building is always hopping with volunteers from our community.
Right on. And do you have a shortage of volunteers?
Well, then we can always use more volunteers, always. There's always kids to read with or to work with. There's always books to shelf, you name it. Yeah.
So what's your favorite part of the school? I mean, there's so many different areas that are so cool, so unique. But if you had to pick one area, what would it be?
Definitely this area we're sitting in right here, Heritage Hall. Just behind us is a mural that we worked on in collaboration with Wilf Perot. He did that voluntarily with our students, and every student that entered the building when it opened had a tile with their initials on it that became part of this giant mural from Wilf. So a very, very nice. Special piece of our building. Yeah. One of the unique pieces to this building are all the flexible learning spaces. So learning looks quite different at Connaught than it did because we have so many spaces that we're able to teach in, like the Learning Lounge or the Village Commons, the Creeks, the Crescents. There's so many different opportunities for learning to look different than students sitting in desk, teacher teaching. Lots of side-by-side learning, and I think that it's really important that we engage our learners in 21st century practices. It's really important that we're doing things that are hands-on and teaching students to work together as opposed to in isolation, because I think team is very much part of where we're heading in the future.
Now, I was outside before our interview taking some pictures, and the kids were out having recess. And I came in and the music is blaring and you're high-fiving kids. What is that all about?
Oh, that's just such a cool part of our culture. So the idea is that we definitely want to have students feel welcome. So rather than saying, you know, get your hat off, get your shoes off, Connaught is really about saying, we're so glad you're here and we're here to serve you. So the high fives and the hugs are just a really special part of our day, a really important time for us to make those meaningful connections with kids and to let them know that this is their home, this is their school.
Now, every day when the kids leave, you and the vice principal and some of the teachers, is that like today because I was here?
No, that's not today. That's an everyday thing. I think we love it, maybe even more than the students love it. It's just a way of sending kids off with a smile, and we want school to be a place that every kid comes to every day and feels safe and cared for. And so to achieve that, we need to do things just a little different. And so that positive connect at the end of the day allows us to keep a pulse on the building and to make sure that our kids are going out the door smiling.
Now, I remember one of our chats, you don't refer to your classes as kindergarten grade 1. What do you refer to them as?
Well, we refer to our kids as future graduates, so graduating class of 2030. When we do our class pictures at the beginning of the year, that is what we say on the pictures rather than Ms. Garrier's grade 1-2 class. It says graduating class of 2028. So we want every kid to enter the building and see themselves as a future graduate. We want all of our students, when they enter the school, to know that it's for a greater purpose and that it's really important and will be impacting their future.
Now, some of the kids, they may be the first ones in their family to graduate.
Yes, certainly. We've got little people right away that we try to have them identify a career path or a choice that they want to pursue in the future, and that we really try to promote their passion through career cruising. We teach kids right from a very young age about going after their dreams. Success is theirs, it's in their cards, they deserve it. Yeah, like every leader that enters this building is on a path to graduation. Every leader, we're all the same, and that we have high expectations for every one of our leaders, and that excellence is not an option, it's an expectation when you enter Connaught School.
Now, how did you, I mean, it starts with you, but you have to, first of all, get all the teachers to buy in. Was that a challenge?
We have, I call the staff the dream team. The challenge is getting the right mix of people together. And we certainly have that. When everybody's passionate about kids first, they want to do good things for kids. So the buy-in becomes very easy because it's what's right. And also the mission, the direction that we were moving was very much a team approach to it. Kids first, and excellence is not an option. And so because of that, they're the ones pumping out those messages every day in front of the kids. It becomes really, really easy.
So where did you come up even with the concept of the SOAR leadership program?
Again, got the team together. We're a no excuse school. So when we see a problem, we really look at what's the opportunity here, what's the challenge, and then what's the opportunity for learning our growth. And so one of the challenges we had identified was certainly moving into a brand new space. How do you bring 400 kids into a building at one time that they haven't been part of? And so the solution became let's develop a leadership program where we teach them the necessary skills so that they can be successful in this building.
Your leadership program, is this something like, it sounds like it's very, very successful. I mean, even the tradespeople that come in to do some work in your school are noticing the difference. Is this something that you will roll out to other schools?
We certainly are open to share. We've done several tours this year. We've probably had at least 30 different tours throughout the year. Schools from all over Saskatchewan and Canada. And something that we have shared with schools, we think it's really fit and has really worked for us. Part of what makes it so powerful, though, it was in-house developed, and therefore it really fit the needs of our community, our kids, and our school.
We've chatted before, Lori, and it's never usually a good thing to go to the principal's office. But you refer to the students that get to have a little chat with you in your office, but not as disciplined as...
Well, we look at the office as a great place. Often the office is a place for celebration. So we're celebrating student success, student growth. They're coming down to read their books or show us their latest writing piece that they've done. We look at even discipline as a learning opportunity. So if a child is coming to the office because they've made a mistake, mistakes are the perfect opportunities for learning and lessons. And so we don't look at it as a bad place to be, but definitely a place where we form connections, we do some celebration, and a lot of learning.
When somebody's not doing what you expect of them, you refer it right back to leadership.
Right, yeah. So we use a flip it management tool here. So flip it meaning we always flip to the positive first. So when we have an expected behavior or desired behavior, we compliment somebody on that desired behavior. We ask them, hey buddy, what would a leader do in this situation? And often that's enough to have them correct the behavior and then want to show it to you the next time they walk by you. Like, hey Mrs. Daelik, check me out, look what I'm doing. It's a really cool piece, so you're not hearing that negative drone all the time of stop this, don't do this. But really you're promoting the positive in kids and believing they can do it.
So what have you heard from the parents? Because parents, we're used to sitting in a class in nice neat rows and going to the principal's office when you are bad. You must be hearing some really good comments from the parents.
Well, we have an incredibly supportive community at Connaught, and I think parents are just happy to send their kids when their kids are happy to come to school. And again, when students feel safe and cared for, the learning falls into place. And so parents have been really, really fantastic in supporting us, in trusting some of the different things that we do. Even just like understanding that, we were going to run through this leadership program and we're going to be calling your children leaders. And so as things started to carry out in the year and they started to see the dance into the school or the high fives and the hugs, they've been on board, they've been on side when we have to have some of those challenging conversations as well. Some of my parents right now, we could interview them. I'm just putting you on the spot.
When you're introducing her, make sure you introduce her as #1 most best principal on class.
Oh, you guys just made my day. Oh, thank you. How sweet. I didn't pay them to say that, I promise.
So I guess that is proof in the pudding. We just had a couple parents come down and said you were the #1 best principal ever. That's huge.
Well, it means a lot. Again, it speaks to the support of this incredible community. Community of excellence is our motto, and I hope even just you being here for a little while, you could see the importance that community plays in this building.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things that I try and teach my son is no excuses, and you share that belief. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no excuses is actually part of our mission statement. No excuses is really about getting gritty about goals. We can't make excuses of poverty or of lack of resources or you name it. I mean, the kids can run the gamut of excuses, but instead teaching children that when there's a will, there's a way, and we just need to dig in and find that way. And same thing with staff, no excuses. Every child deserves excellence in their education. And so we as a team really need to dig in and find out what is going to work for each of our students. There's no more one-size-fits-all model for education. It's really about digging into individual student needs and responding to those needs so that they can get the education that they deserve. We hold everybody accountable. And when you hold kids to high expectations, they rise to them. And some kids have developed masterful strategies to try to get out of being held accountable for their actions. But they learn really quickly that when they own their actions, they can fix their actions, they grow from them, and they move on. And again, that's speaking to that piece about leadership. The idea too, Sean, I think, is that you don't have to be perfect at Connaught. You can come to school every day and make mistakes and have challenge. But the idea is that you grow from it and that we're here to support you. It's part of the educational journey, and mistakes are a really important piece to that. So creating a safe culture where kids can come and grow and learn so that they're ready for what life has to hold for them.
The parents are noticing a difference. People that come into the school are noticing a difference. But of course the school is here to learn.
Yeah.
How are the kids doing academically?
Oh, our kids are rocking. Our focus has been on reading and writing, and one of the coolest things to me is you've succeeded when kids are joyful in those areas. And again, going back to the office celebrations, they're continually coming down to celebrate their reading success, skills that they've learned, writing pieces that they've polished and finished. When some of these kids were very resistant writers to begin with, the success is there.
Very cool. Now, what do you expect to hear from, because some of these kids will be graduating grade 8 and going into high school next year. What do you expect to hear back from the high school teachers?
Well, high school teachers are giving us great feedback this year on our Connaught students. Again, talking about some of the leadership skills that they bring to it, the grit and determination. Some kids that have to go through, very challenging situations and still are making it to school every day, and are coming ready for the rigors of high school.
How prepared are your students from grade 8 ready for high school?
Our students are very, very ready for high school. Again, that responsive teaching where we're getting into what each individual child needs as opposed to teaching, the whole class the same thing, digging into each individual child's skills and needs. We're able to see a lot of growth, a lot of movement, and therefore they're really ready for not just high school, but for what the world is about to bring.
So it'll be interesting to talk to some of the high school teachers in a couple of years after your leadership program has run the test for a few years.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm really excited to be sitting in the audience watching some of our Connaught Comets graduating grade 12.